We are 2 days away from the NFL playoffs, and I'm here along with Kay Gargano as we give our playoff predictions, our bracket predictions for the third year in a row, whatever it is. Cade, how we doing?
I'm doing well, Coy. I'm excited.
This is as Kate and I were both talking, we have no idea who we picked in any game for this prediction episode, but we both talked about how it was really difficult to choose, and we're probably going to get a random Super Bowl this year, is what we decided on. So the way we'll do this, we'll start off with the AFC first, and we'll just do the first round, and we'll go from AFC to NFC, and we'll each take turns going first. So, Kate, I'll start us off. We'll start us with the Patriots and Chargers game, 2 seed versus 7 seed in New England. I'll keep it pretty straightforward. I had the Patriots in this one. I think the Chargers, for me, offensively, they just don't do enough for my liking. I think the Patriots, despite having very few wins against teams over 500, I think they take care of business here against the Chargers. I'm not too concerned for the Patriots in this one, but I don't really see any of these round one games being a blowout. Like, I could see maybe one or two, but like on paper, all these matchups are pretty interesting. Like, this game could easily be a 3 point game coming down to the final minutes. So, but I got the Pats.
Yeah, so I'm a little bit different on this one than you. I do have the Patriots winning, but I'm a little less confident in saying that. The spread right now, I believe, is 4 on sports books, and I think I like the Chargers +4. I think this is going to be a really close game. Uh, the Patriots really haven't played anybody, as you know, and I'm sure anybody listening knows. They've had one of the easiest schedules in the last 30 years. Like, their defense isn't that great. Drake May's inexperienced, but I just think that the offensive line issues for Justin Herbert and the Chargers is really the game changer in this one. I think the Patriots probably hold on by like 2 or 3.
Yeah, again, I can see it being like, I don't think any of these games are going to be blowouts. I really don't. So I see it, unless those World Chargers win it. Herbert hasn't been the greatest playoff performer. Now, granted, he hasn't had some of the best systems. He had the 4 interception game last year against the Texans. Um, there's got to be some uncomfortable conversations on him if they lose this game and he doesn't play up to par. But I guess we'll just have to see. So that's we both have the Pats. They'll obviously host in the divisional round if that happens. Cade, you can lead us off with the Jaguars and Bills game in Jacksonville.
Yeah, I just want to touch on Herbert really fast. This is a lot easier defense than Houston was last year. So you're right. If he doesn't get the job done, we're gonna have to have some uncomfortable conversations. I think this is that he has to win this game, even though we both have the Patriots winning. He has to get it done. But going over to the Bills at Jacksonville, I this was the one I kept going back and forth on. I really struggled making this decision, but I did end up going with Buffalo. I just like Josh Allen just a little bit more than Trevor Lawrence. I trust him. He's been in so many playoff games. I, the Usually the big boogeyman for Josh Allen, as everybody knows, is the Chiefs going into Arrowhead, or even if it's in Buffalo. But Jacksonville's home field advantage isn't like a scary environment to play in. Trevor Lawrence, we've seen him obviously win a playoff game where he came back against Justin Herbert. I feel like in a tight game, which it's going to be because it's the playoffs, I just trust Josh Allen down the stretch. But there's also a world that the Jaguars are just flat out the better team in almost every position, and they beat the Bills by 10 to 14 points. I really could see that happening, but I just can't not pick the Bills in round one.
All right, well, here we go, because I also had the Buffalo Bills. And I honestly kind of have, for the most part, the same reasoning. I think Jacksonville had a great season. They obviously overshot their expectations. I just think it might be a one and done. Well, get in and get done kind of season for them. They don't have a ton of experience in the playoffs. They have the win that you briefly mentioned a few moments ago, and then they played Kansas City pretty well in the divisional round, but they don't have much experience on them. I think Buffalo takes care of business, which would set up a Bills versus Broncos divisional round matchup in Denver, and then New England would host the winner of who we're going to talk about next. But Cade, we have the same two so far. I think we're going to have the same three after this one. Steelers Texans in Pittsburgh. I kind of wanted to pick Pittsburgh here. I really did. I couldn't. It's everything points to it should be the Houston Texans getting it done. Stroud and the Texans, they have been able to strand off a couple playoff wins here and there. Nothing, anything ever crazy, But I just think the Steelers, just the way they play football, is just it's a brutal watch every single week. And I just think the Texans, with how good that defense is, I don't know. I think the Texans take care of business here, and they go to New England in the divisional round.
This is going to be the ugliest game of football, maybe of all time. It might be 6-3, just because of how weird the Steelers like to play. The Steelers are 0-8 in their last 8 playoff games, which feels kind of unbelievable. But I also went with Houston. I just can't see Aaron Rodgers beating this defense. This was like the nightmare scenario for the Steelers, even though they got in. Like, I feel like if they played Buffalo, they'd actually have a better shot just because that defense is really bad. And Aaron Rodgers is not able to move. I mean, with Daniil Hunter and Will Anderson going after Aaron Rodgers, I feel like it's gonna get ugly. But I do have the Texans. The Texans' red zone offense is terrible. So this is going to be a really low scoring game in my opinion, but I do have the Texans edging out the Steelers.
In Pittsburgh, so crazy things can happen. We saw what happened there last week, but so yeah, that would set up. So okay, we have the same three so far. That would set up the divisional round of the Texans versus Patriots in New England, Bills versus Broncos in Denver. We'll go to the NFC for the first round over there before we move on to anything. And Cade, you start us off. We'll start with the Packers and Bears in Chicago.
I'm stoked for this game. This is only the third time these teams have played each other in the playoffs, which feels unbelievable considering they're like the two oldest teams in the entire league. Um, in Chicago, Bears are home dogs, which feels kind of crazy
That's
to me.
crazy.
That almost feels like a trap. That feels like the sports books want you to pick the Bears at plus money, and I don't know. I There's a part of my brain to where the sportsbook side of me wants to go with the Packers, but I will go the Bears at home. This is their first home playoff game since the double doink, which is unbelievable. Um, I really struggle with this one. They're 1-1 against each other this year. Both games have been excellent. I think the Bears, as of late, have the better quarterback play. I think they have the better run game. Both defenses are pretty bad. I'd give the coaching advantage to Chicago, but I don't know. Jordan Love's experience, Matt LaFleur's experienced, and this is kind of brand new for both Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams. So this game could get weird, but I do have the Bears winning in Chicago.
Yeah, so this was an interesting one for me because my brain says pick Chicago. They host a game against who? Hopefully, it's going to be the Eagles next week, and then I don't know. I could see Chicago going to the NFC Championship, but no, I didn't do that. I had the Packers in this one. Uh, Bears hater, I guess, but I don't know. You mentioned the 1-1 record between the two teams this year. The Bears really should have lost the second matchup that was against Malik Willis for pretty much the whole game. With the onside kick craziness that went through Dobbs' hands. I don't know. I think, the Packers have a short lifespan right now with considering their injuries. Obviously, Micah Parsons gone. They have a lot of guys that are just pretty much kind of banged up going into this game. But the Bears are just a really weird team. And now, granted, they've been able to come up clutch when they need it. I think that the luck kind of runs out here in round one against the Packers. I think they're able to rattle off a win. But listen, My brain was trying to tell me that the Bears should go all the way to the NFC Championship. But they're one of those teams that has had a lot of magic this year. Eventually, it might run out. So I'm going with the Packers.
Yeah, the Bears turnover ratio is unbelievable. Like they have like almost a 2-1 turnover ratio, I believe, and they're still in these crazy Commanders-esque games from last year. Like these crazy come down to the wire games where they just edge it out. But I just think it's going to be, I'm almost positive it's going to snow, which would be unbelievable. That would be pure cinema if it snowed in Chicago against the Packers. I just think that everything points to the Bears winning this playoff game. But like I said, I think the books having them as home dogs is a little scary.
I was surprised to see that. I really was. And honestly, it doesn't really make any sense if I'm being real with the way the injury situations have happened. But who are we? We're not in Vegas.
Roma Dunze is going to play, so that's a huge turning point, I believe, for the Bears. Even though the weather is going to be a little crappy, the pass game could struggle. I just think the Bears' play style really translates to the playoffs. They're kind of like not as good as the Eagles were last year offensively, but their run game is really good and they can control the clock. I like the way that they play, so I have Chicago advancing.
All right, and moving on to Eagles 49ers. Listen, we're Eagles fans here. So I don't want to sound biased when I pick the Eagles to win this game, but all signs are pointing to this is theirs to win. It's in Philly. The first thing, there's a lot of things I want to talk about with this game, but I want to discuss first how much of a gut punch it is and demoralizing it is for the Niners. To be playing a home game against the Seahawks for a chance to get a bye, then play two more home games, meaning the divisional round and NFC Championship, and then if you were to win that, you go to the Super Bowl that is in your home stadium. So they had that chance, but they lost and they put up a stinker, and they move all the way down to the sixth seed and have to come to a climate that they're not used to playing in. I think a lot of that plays into it. I think it really is a gut punch. It's a tough way to really, again, the one seed to the sixth seed. That's a drastic fall, you know. So, and then you look at the matchups wise. Ricky Pearsall still is not practicing. Trent Williams is questionable. They lost Tatum Bethune for the rest of the year, so they signed Kaiser White. Both their starting linebackers they're out. Like, just everything is pointing to, and all their losses this year where they've been manhandled have been by teams with elite defensive fronts, and just good defenses in general. I just don't see how the Niners do it. I've been joking around all week, telling my group chat, and my friends, like, and especially you, Cade, that Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean are going to be guarding Jawan Jennings and Demarcus Robinson. Like, I just don't see anything. The only way the Niners can really win this game is that they just control the run game. That is the one kind of weakness that the Eagles have had as of late, defending the run. So CMC, that's really their only hope, I think, in this one. But again, it's the Eagles. Their offense is not very good at all. So anything can happen. But I'm picking the Eagles round one.
I'm also going with the Eagles. We have no reason to believe that this offense can score a lot of points, but I just have a feeling they will. The 49ers, like you said, just have nobody left. They're just feel like they're out of gas. It just feels like they're a car that's running out of gas. They have no bodies left on that field. I think they have like two starters on defense that started the season, which is unbelievable. I think the biggest advantage that I think the 49ers have is maybe the coaching, but if the Eagles get up early, we know Shanahan's record from when he's trailing. Like he can't run the offense that he wants to run off that West Coast, play action, run the ball heavy offense if he's down. So I think if the Eagles can jump out to an early lead, I think they control this game the rest of the way. I don't really have any concerns. I don't think that the 49ers are going to win in any world. I think that they play 10 times. I think the Eagles win 10 times. But yeah, I have the Eagles advancing.
Yeah, in four matchups of Kyle Shanahan against the Vic Fangio defense, he has failed to put up 15 points. There's stuff like that's interesting to point out. But yeah, Cade, listen, I've been very pessimistic about this team this year because of just how bad the offense is. But there's just no reason for us to believe that this defense will not shut them down. And if anything, this is a great matchup for the Eagles' offense. Like, this is the one time that they might be able to put up some points. So we'll see. Yep, we both have the Eagles go. So
Let's just say if they don't get it done, things are going to go south fast in that building. Just
yeah,
fired people wise. They have to win this game. They have to.
yeah. So I think they will. So going to that Rams Panthers game, Cade, you can lead us off in Carolina.
Yeah, this one's going to be pretty easy for me. I don't want to disrespect the Panthers because they are a playoff team, but they almost had the same record as the Falcons. Like they're not really
They
that
did
great
have
of a
the same
team.
record as the
Yeah, they
Falcons.
had the yeah, they had the same record as the Falcons. Anybody in that division could have got it, and I just think the Rams are going to handle them pretty easily. I think the Rams are 10-point favorites, which feels a little extreme. The Panthers are home. I feel like maybe a touchdown at most, but yeah, I'll have the Rams pretty easily. Devontae Adams is back. They have bigger aspirations than losing to the Panthers at home or on the road in the first round. I can promise you that.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that the Panthers already have beaten them in Carolina this year one time. So I mean,
I
for
think
the
that actually works against the Panthers. I think they used
yeah,
up all their luck.
yeah. So listen, I had the Rams too. But this game could easily be kind of close. The Panthers have played some good teams pretty closely, and then they played down to a lot of their competition. Um, so they could get off to a hot start. I don't know. I feel like that atmosphere is going to be pretty juiced up for this kind of game. It would be cool to see the Panthers win. It'd be cool for the Eagles too. But we'll see. I had the Rams too, but I would not be surprised if somehow the Panthers pull this off because the Rams they really haven't looked that good the last 3 to 4 weeks. Not good at all. So we're just gonna have to see. But yeah, Devontae coming back is huge for them. So, but Kate, let's go to the divisional round. will stay in the NFC because we're already here. So this is our Elite Eight, if you want to call it. The matchups for both sides, for me, would be the Seahawks and Packers in the divisional round, Eagles, Rams, Texans, Patriots, and Bills, Broncos. So, Kate, I'll give my, um, or you give yours. You give your final eight right now.
So my final eight starting in the NFC would be the Rams at the Seahawks, Eagles in Chicago, and then Buffalo in Denver and Houston at New England.
Yeah. So it could get a little confusing for the audience if you because we're gonna have different matchups because of the reseeded brackets. So I'll start. We'll just each start with their own divisional rounds. So in the NFC for me, it would be Packers 7 seed versus Seahawks 1 seed in Seattle. Again, I've already talked about the Packers, how I think they'll rattle off that one win, but I said they have a short lifespan because of their injuries. I got Seattle winning this. I think the defense is just really good, and I think the Packers losing Parsons as well. It's just a huge hit. Their defense hasn't looked as good, and their offense is just so beat up. I got the Seahawks taking this one, going to the NFC Championship. And then I have the Eagles versus Rams in Philly, and this is a rematch of last year's divisional. If this happens, it's lining up to be a stressful game for Eagles fans. I will say that. But I'm going to go with the Eagles. They beat them in Philadelphia earlier this year. And again, I just said how the Rams haven't looked that great as of late. I don't think that's going to matter, though, at this point. But, we're 4-0 against the Stafford and the Rams with Jalen and Sirianni. This is, listen, I don't know if this is my heart talking more than my brain. But again, I think being at home does have a big part in why I'm picking Philadelphia here. And listen, it's going to be a close game either way. I'm going to go with Philly. I think we get it done. We go to the NFC Championship and face the Seahawks on the road.
Very, very interesting. I like the way you think. I'll start. I have the Rams in Seattle. This is going to be a very fun game if we were to get this. I do think that the Rams end up winning that game in Seattle, which could be a little crazy to some people because Seattle's defense is so good, that atmosphere is so good. But it's very similar to the Josh Allen versus Trevor Lawrence thing. I mean, who do you trust in the clutch? You trust Matt Stafford or Sam Darnold? And my answer is pretty easy, especially in a playoff game. I know they've faced one time before and the whole 2-point conversion comeback for the Seahawks. This is a whole different animal. This is to go to the NFC Championship game, and I just trust the Rams to get it done. And then in my 3-2 matchup, because I have the Bears beating the Packers, I have the Eagles at Chicago, which would be another excellent matchup, Black Friday rematch, where the Bears kind of ran all over the Eagles. That game really wasn't close, and it was not nearly as close as the score said. The Bears kind of dominated that game in Philadelphia, but the Eagles will travel to Chicago this time, and I do think the Eagles will win. I don't have enough logic to assume that they're going to. I don't know why I think that they're going to win. I just trust the Eagles to get it done. If they know how to win playoff games just by simply controlling the turnover battle, and I think Caleb Williams is definitely susceptible to throwing some, costly interceptions. You can say whatever you want about the offense. You can't really have any doubts about Jalen in the playoffs anymore. I mean, he's already proved to be a big game riser. I trust him with my life in the postseason, and I just think that the Eagles get it done. It's going to be a brutal, ugly game. It's going to be freezing cold. I know the Bears probably have a better run game than the Eagles. With Lane Johnson coming back, and I don't know. I think the Eagles probably etch out another close, tight game. I think all of these games that the Eagles play in the playoffs are going to be brutal games for us fans watching. It's going to be so low scoring and so tight and come down to the wire, but I think they get it done in Chicago. So I have Eagles Rams as my NFC Championship matchup once again.
Yeah, that's Eagles rematch of the
Well,
divisional.
that was the divisional round, yeah, sorry,
Yep,
but it felt like the
yep.
NFC Championship.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, exactly. Um, See, honestly, if the Bears win, I think we would lose them. It just kind of feels like a thing, it just comes back to bite us in the butt of not playing our starters. We went to Chicago, we lose, whatever. The funny thing about when we played them, they absolutely did run all over us. Um, that game was, honestly, that game was still in our hands late in the third quarter. I believe we were tied or whatever late in that third quarter, and we were on like the 20-yard line and driving. It was after the interception, right after we just scored two. And that's when we were stripped on the tush push again on the Bears 20-yard line, and that's when things went south. So things could have been a lot different in that game, and then it just got ugly in that fourth quarter. But
Well,
honestly,
that goes back to what I was saying about the Bears' turnover luck being so great this season.
yeah,
I think the Eagles kind of get not conservative, but they play smarter with the ball in the playoffs, which if the Bears aren't getting those one or two turnovers, I think they lose a lot of these games. And I just trust the Eagles to not turn it over in the playoffs. That's kind of why I picked them.
yeah. So my NFC Championship is Eagles Seahawks. Cade's is Eagles Rams. So we'll just keep going here, and then we'll go to the AFC side because of the whole reseeded thing. It might get a little confusing. Eagles Seahawks in Seattle. And Cade, I don't know. Listen, I don't know what got into me tonight. I'm going with the Eagles again, and it just seems stupid because I didn't even pick them to make it out of it last year in the NFC, and now here I am picking it in a road environment against Seattle, which I guess at the time I was predicting them to lose in Detroit against the Lions. Um, but no, I'm picking them to win against Seattle. I think a lot of it stems from what you just said. Do you trust Jalen Hurts or Sam Darnold more? And I think, you'll get a lot of casual people saying that those are two people you don't want to trust. I think that's kind of the casual answer. Those people are idiots. It's clearly Jalen Hurts until Sam Darnold proves otherwise. But yeah, I'm going to go with Philly. I think they get it done. I think Kevin Patullo gets saved with this win as the Eagles go back to the Super Bowl. But listen, the NFC, these playoff matchups are so weird that these brackets could get busted so fast. But yeah, I got the Eagles.
Yeah, to the listeners, me and Coy like to go back months later to listen to see if we were correct and how right we were. And this feels like the one where we're going to be wrong from the jump. Like
Yeah.
these games are going to be so tight and so weird. But my matchup, as you know, and as I said, it will be the Rams coming to the link in the NFC Championship with a Super Bowl trip on the line. And part of me is just, I just want to say that the Eagles get it done. But also part of me is almost like, is this a blessing in disguise if they lose? Because if they were to win and go to the Super Bowl, does that almost guarantee a Patullo rehire?
I
Which I
don't
feel
know.
like would be an absolute disaster. That would be an absolute disaster if they mask his terrible, terrible job he's done this year with a Super Bowl trip. But I also, that's very, greedy for me to say that don't want to make the Super Bowl because of our offensive coordinator. But I just think, I mean, we know they have a great quarterback. They have great wide receivers. They're the former champions. But unfortunately, I think this is the end of the road for the Los Angeles Rams because the Philadelphia Eagles are going back to the Super Bowl, back to back, and they're going to face, well, to be determined when we get to the AFC side, but they are going back to the Super Bowl. Don't ask me why I believe in this offense, but I just do. Vic Fangio, the Godfather, is going to get it done against Stafford and McVay and this West Coast offense. It's just going to happen. It's just going to happen. We know it's going to happen. You know it's going to happen.
If we beat LA again and
It's
send them
gonna
home,
happen. That I promise you, we are the last team that they want to face. They don't want to come here. They don't. They just there's bad mojo for them in this stadium. I don't know what it is, but they can't beat us, and it's
yeah.
gonna happen. They're gonna beat the Rams and go back to the Super Bowl.
I think we're on the same wavelength here. I really do. I think we both don't know why we're picking the Eagles, but listen,
It's just a matter of trust. I just trust them to get it done against these teams that we just. I don't trust Sam Darnold. I don't trust Caleb Williams yet, even though I think he's a great quarterback. I don't know. I just trust them.
yeah, and so I've said to some people, how I think the Eagles could beat any team, but I just can't see them doing it 4 games in a row. But then I looked at the bracket. I just don't see any. I don't trust any of these teams. So you know what? I'm gonna trust the Eagles. They've done it. But listen, this is I don't know. We're gonna have to see. It's not biasness talking. It's really up for grabs here. But we'll have to find out. So we'll go to the AFC. My final four. Actually, we have the same final four. I remember we picked this all correct. It's Texans versus Patriots in New England, Bills versus Broncos in Denver. I've got the so for the Patriots Texans. I think the Patriots rattle this one off. I could easily see the Texans doing it because of how good their defense is, but I do have some concerns about their offense. And again, I think the Patriots have played some pretty good football, pretty fun football to watch this year, despite their schedule. We talked about it already. I'm sure you guys have seen the stat that the Giants have more wins over teams above 500 than the Patriots, which is not a good thing. But again, they don't make the schedule; they beat these teams, and I just think they're a pretty good football team. And at the same time, why are you to trust the Texans? Their defense is obviously unbelievable, but that offense is not. So I'm going to go with the Patriots to win this one in New England. They go to the AFC Championship. And on the other side, Denver versus Buffalo. I think Buffalo has a lot of holes. I think they overcome it round one in Jacksonville. I don't think they overcome it in Denver against that defense. Another really good defense. I got the Broncos winning this game despite more offensive concerns, just like the Texans. Despite, I don't think it's as, I think I trust the Denver offense a little bit more. But I got the Broncos beating the Bills to go to the AFC Championship, creating a Denver New England AFC Championship.
All right, I like it. So I'll start with my first matchup, which will be Buffalo at Denver. I think, unfortunately, this is where I have Buffalo exiting. I just, their team really is not good. The biggest reason I picked them over Jacksonville is I just can't envision them losing to Trevor Lawrence, even though Jacksonville's been playing pretty well. This is where I could see them just being outmanned. The Denver defense is so elite, and Bo Nix is their offense has looked weird. They feel very Eagle-ish this year. Obviously, we know the Eagles Denver game was actually very close. It was a pretty good game. Their offense is weird. Bo Nix has been playing weird, but Sean Payton is definitely a better coach than Sean McDermott. Josh Allen is definitely better than Bo Nix, but I just think Bo Nix going against that defense is just such a large advantage over Josh Allen going against Denver. So I do have Denver advancing, which at that point, that's a huge crush for Josh Allen's legacy that we'll talk about at another time. But
Yeah.
man, this feels like it has to be the year for him. And I don't think his defense is good enough. He has like one of the worst defenses in football. They're terrible. Yeah, I could see this being oddly a high scoring game for how good Denver's defense is. I just can't see Buffalo beating them. They're just simply not as good as Denver. And then moving on to Houston at New England. This one is where I think we differ, but like you said, you could see Houston winning, and I do have Houston winning, which it feels weird because New England, obviously Drake May is going to be probably runner up for MVP or if not win the whole thing. But New England's been great. They're the 2 seed. They're just the best quarterback they've played this year was Josh Allen, and they split with him. And then the second best quarterback they've played was one quarter of Lamar Jackson, or maybe Baker Mayfield, who was honestly pretty terrible. Like they have not. I mean, CJ Stroud's not amazing, but he's definitely good enough to win. And I just don't think New England's defense is very good. And I don't know. I think a rookie quarterback, or not a rookie quarterback, but second year quarterback Drake May, but really kind of never really had any playoff experience, never really played in any big games at UNC. Like this is going to be the biggest game of his career, and against that defense, I do trust Mike Vrabel and Josh McDaniel, but I just think that D'Amico Ryans is going to have the defense flying all over the place, and the Texans' red zone offense is bad, but that New England defense is also bad. So something's got to give. I just think that the Texans edge them out and go to the AFC Championship game visiting Denver.
I do to CJ Stroud, Bo Nix, AFC champion.
That's what I'm saying. It's going to be there's so much parity this year. It's so tough to pick these. I think you got to find any edge possible. And this feels like a very defense heavy year.
All right, so for my AFC championship, it was Pats Broncos. Okay, we'll get into ours. You had Texans Broncos, which made both these games just sound so ludicrous, ridiculous. The Broncos Patriots, I got the Broncos winning this one. Everything you said about the Patriots is true, and I think it finally comes into fruition here against Denver in Denver. I think that defense is so good, and I think Bo Nix and the Broncos go to the Super Bowl. Simple as that. But let me tell you, if we get a Texans versus Broncos AFC Championship, that might be the ugliest football game of all time, and I'll let you take it from there.
Yeah, that's going to be worse than Steelers Texans. That
Would
game
that
might
be
be
the
six.
craziest defensive bout in like NFL playoff history? Unless we got
It,
like Broncos Seahawks.
dude, watch. We're going to get this game Texans Denver, and we're all going to think it's going to be 3-0, and they're going to score at will. It's going to be so crazy. But you have Denver advancing to the Super Bowl, and I do too. It's so weird to pick Bo Nix because I mean he's inexperienced, but I mean Jalen Hurts and the Eagles made it to the Super Bowl his second year. There's a lot of similarities between their offenses. I mean, Bo Nix sometimes looks amazing, and other times it's like, what is this guy doing? And I feel like that's what I feel like when I'm watching Jalen sometimes. But Denver's defense is really good. Houston's defense is really good. This is going to be an excellent game if we get it. I just Yeah, this one was really tough, but it's in Denver, and I think that's going to be the biggest decider. Denver's a really, really hard place to play, and I just think that they get it done.
And we both have an Eagles Broncos Super Bowl lined up. Dude,
This has never happened before either. But everybody knows we don't talk about these beforehand, but I feel like even in years prior, we've never had the same Super Bowl.
oh my God. If this Super Bowl happened, this should be the one the Eagles would lose somehow. I don't know.
It's the Jokic versus Embiid Super Bowl.
Dude, this game would be unbelievable. Eagles Broncos Super Bowl. Both kind of have had similar seasons, similar situations offensively and defensively. Unfortunately, for the Denver Broncos, I got the Eagles repeating and winning the Super Bowl. I have no idea why I had them winning four straight games to win the Super Bowl, but I got the Eagles going back to back, winning this game against Denver. At the end of the day, I think Sean Payton is a little too conservative for my liking. I think that can come to hurt him against a team like the Eagles, who are too dangerous. And with that defense and everything, I had the Philadelphia Eagles winning the Super Bowl.
Wow. Wow, you learned from your mistakes last year. Anybody who didn't listen to last year's episode, Coy had the Eagles losing to the Lions in the NFC Championship game. Uh, Coy Kamasholi, biggest Eagles hater I know. But I honestly, with the Broncos and the Eagles, can you really see either one of them? I know Denver has the bye, so it's a little bit easier, but can you see them putting together multiple wins in a row? It's so hard, but I can't see any of these teams beating them in just like a one game sample size. Like when
Yeah.
you go back and look at it, like all these wins in a row, but yeah, like the individual matchups, I think both of these teams are just better. Both of these defenses are great. Both of the offenses are terrible. But not terrible. I don't want to say terrible, but they can't put together full games. Like they'll either play a great second half or a great first half. The earlier in the year when they played each other was a great game. It was kind of like the tale of two halves. Like I was just saying, that Denver was lights out in the second half. I just think the Eagles do it again, and it's so
Why?
hard.
Why do we do that?
It's so hard to win back to back. But I just think that they have this perfect feel. Nick Sirianni, the public consensus about him and Jalen is that they're both not good at what they do, and yet all they do is win. And it's so weird, but I think they've found the recipe of how to win these games. And Jalen in these moments is so good, and I just think that Bo Nix is good, and Sean Payton's a good coach, and their defense is
It's too
great.
conservative. It's just too.
Yeah,
I just.
and I just think Bo Nix, you can get him. Like they can pick him off. And I think Jalen. I know he has two turnovers in two Super Bowls, but one didn't really matter. I just think they found the recipe of how to win these ugly games, and I know that's how Denver wants to play too. But I just who's beating us? What the Denver likes to do a lot too is kind of play, you know, run the ball, throw the ball underneath, and then kind of beat you over the top. But they just aren't going to be able to do that against these corners, I don't think. I know it happened. Cortland Sutton had a pretty good game against Quinion last time, but I don't know. I just think that the Eagles get it done again. I just
We are
trust them. I trust them more.
we are insane. But dude, like if this were to happen, like the build up to an Eagles Broncos Super Bowl where it's like Jalen Hurts versus Bo Nix, it would just have such a different feel to it than like in past Super Bowls. You look at the quarterback matchups, it's always loaded. Like Stafford, Burrow, Mahomes, Brady, even Mahomes, Jalen, Mahomes, Purdy. There's always a common denominator in there that there's just a really damn good quarterback, and this would just be weird. But you're gonna get a weird matchup this year, no matter who it is, and let's just pray to the Lord that it's the Eagles. So you heard it here first. We both have Eagles versus Broncos in the Super Bowl, with the Eagles winning, going back to back, which sounds utterly insane. But here we are. So, Cade, do you have any other final words on this one?
No, I have a feeling this is going to be the one where we're entirely wrong. Like everything is busted from like the very first game, but these matchups are going to be so good, so close. It doesn't feel like there's one team that's better than everybody. I know the hot pick is to pick the Rams, but they haven't been that great. They really haven't. So I don't know. I don't know. A Bo Nix Jalen Hurts Super Bowl would really open a lot of people's eyes to how much team building matters
Yeah.
more than quarterback play. But both are good quarterbacks. I really hope we get it. That'd be a really fun Super Bowl.
Yep. So, all right, guys, you heard it here first. Eagles go back to back, but we'll just have to see. That's gonna do it. Thank you guys for listening. Go Birds.